Karen Bossick with Iron Sun Valley. Have you ever wondered why there are two bridges where Trail Creek intersects the Big Wood River? The answer lies in the Philadelphia Smelter, which was built here in 1881 to service the silver rush of the Wood River Valley. My good friend John Lundin has been studying this for years and years and years. Let's go find out more from him. John, what can you tell us about these two bridges?
Karen, this is a remnant of the railroad bridge that went over the Big Wood River, leading directly into the Philadelphia Smelter, that was located on a 400-acre bench right behind us. And there's not much left today showing where it was. We'll see one other place a little later. But when the railroad was extended from Haley up to Ketchum, it didn't stop at Ketchum. It went directly into the Philadelphia Smelter over its own railroad bridge that paralleled the wagon bridge, and it could take goods directly in and load bullion and take it directly out. So it was a very efficient process. This is one of the few remnants of the Philadelphia Smelter that you can still see here in the valley. Now, the Philadelphia Smelter began operations in fall of 1881 and smelted most of the galena ore that was produced not only in the Wood River Valley, but all the surrounding mineral districts. The ore was brought by wagon right up here to the Philadelphia Smelter, where it was broken down and the silver, lead, and zinc taken out of the rock. Now, the Philadelphia Smelter was started by some Philadelphia investors led by the Bossick Banking Company, and they came here in 1881 just after the silver rush began, and this was the largest silver rush in the country at the time. And they decided that what the Wood River Valley needed was a smelter to break down the components of the ore into merchantable quantities. They bought originally 160 acres right at the mouth of Warren Springs Canyon, right to our left, beyond the bridge. It was later expanded to 400 acres. And it was, they brought in state-of-the-art smelting equipment, and it was the largest industrial enterprise in the 1880s in Idaho Territory. What you see here, the bridge, has an interesting story, because when the Wood River branch of the Oregon Short Line Railroad, which was a subsidiary of Union Pacific, that was built from Shoshone into Haley, arriving in May 1883. The people that convinced Union Pacific to build it, Robert Strayhorn and his wife, owned a company that had bought the Shoshone and Haley town sites, and they intended to make Haley the industrial capital of the Wood River Valley, the Denver of Idaho, as they said. So that Haley was originally to be the terminus of the Wood River branch. However, the Philadelphia Smelter was by far the largest customer and shipper of goods for the Wood River branch. They were located 14 miles north, so they had to load all the smelted ore into wagons and take it down to Haley to ship by train, and that was very inefficient. So there's a battle between the Strayhorn forces and the Philadelphia Smelter about what to do. The Philadelphia Smelter prevailed, and in 1884, the Wood River branch was extended from Haley up to Ketchum. It was never intended to serve the city of Ketchum, because the smelter was 3/4 of a mile north of Ketchum at that point. It was only intended to serve the shipping needs of the Philadelphia Smelter. So the Wood River branch came up here. It crossed the river on a bridge much like this, that once it went across the Big Wood River, turned south, as this does on exhibition, and went directly into the smelter. That allowed all the goods coming in to be unloaded directly to the smelter, and the smelted ore to be loaded directly and shipped out of the valley. Now, to set the stage here, The Oregon short-lined Ketchum depot was right down from where we stand, roughly where the YMCA is right now. And the Philadelphia Smelter had a huge complex up there. They had originally 2 and later 4 massive furnaces that smelted the ore. They had 20 charcoal burners that converted wood into charcoal. They had a water flume that brought water from around Geyer Hot Springs directly down into the smelter that they used to power its machinery and turbines. And this was, as I said, the industrial center of the Wood River Valley and the largest industrial facility in Idaho Territory. I'm standing here on Exhibition Drive in Warm Springs. We're about 1 block west of the Big Wood River, and we're right in the middle of the Philadelphia Smelter site. If you look behind me, you can see the only remnant that's still existing of the smelter. There's part of its foundation on the west side of Exhibition, and even though it was a huge facility with lots of machinery, this is all you can see. And of course the smelter area itself is filled with houses, as you can see somewhere around here. This would be roughly where the railroad tracks would come in. And again, they came over the Big Wood River on their own bridge, then turned south on Exhibition. And we have one picture that shows the railroad tracks coming right in, and you can see where it is in relationship to the hillside behind me. There's another picture we have showing where the bullion was stored waiting for shipment out, and that would be pretty close to where I am right now. So this was center of the action right here. Now, once the smelter knew the railroad was coming in 1883, they expanded their own facilities. They went from 2 furnaces to 4 furnaces that were state-of-the-art. When they first built the facility in 1881, they used water from the Warm Springs to propel their machinery. They had they owned some land up by Geyer Hot Springs, which is about 2 miles west of here. They constructed a dam and a ditch there, and they brought water in to propel its machinery. They also had a bathhouse up there for their employees. You know, there's no hot and cold running water in those days. So the Philadelphia Smelter and some of the families actually took advantage of the Warm Springs and put in their own bathhouses up there. After the railroad was going to come in, the Philadelphia Smelter actually constructed an elevated flue to bring water in. They could bring a much higher volume of water to propel double the machinery they had. And there's some interesting pictures of the flue. Now, another thing that happened is that prior to 1883, the Philadelphia Smelter smelted mainly ore from the Wood River Valley, and there were 3 or 4 other smelters here in competition. But because they expanded so much, they put in several $100,000 more into this facility. They drove the other smelters out of business. Small-scale smelters couldn't compete, and this became such a large institution, they drove the others out of business, and they were the only remaining smelter here. Another thing they did is that they purchased a series of silver mines in the area here, so they could, to some extent, control the volume of ore that they smelted. The biggest ones were over in Muldoon, which is in the Littlewood River Valley, and they owned the Muldoon mines, and they put a separate smelter over there. They owned the North Star mine, which is off of East Fork, right next to Triumph, and they owned the Silver Star mine, which is in this Little Smoky Mineral District, which is over Dollarhide Summit.
I hope you enjoyed our glimpse into the mining history of the Wood River Valley, and many thanks to John Lundin. I'm Bossick with Eye on Sun Valley. Until next time, I'm keeping my eye on Sun Valley for you.